Hello everyone, today we're starting on section number 5 of our rectangle blanket. Before we go on, I have something to explain to you. I've done another silly jilly moment. I was Googling double crochet clusters, okay, to see what they looked like. Then I found that what I'd done back in section number 3 is double crochet clusters. I was calling these half double crochet clusters. When I searched for half double crochet clusters, what I got was a puff stitch, and now it all makes sense. So these ones in section 3, I'm so sorry, are actually double crochet clusters, as are these in section number 5. I'm really sorry about that error. It was a slip of the mind and another lesson learned. So regardless, you have made them following how I do it, so that is the main thing. Now let's move on to segment number 5. I'm going to use all of my colours, and you'll also need 8 stitch markers. All right, the first thing we need to do is count our stitches and find our centre pointers. I've started with the small side first, and then put a stitch marker in the very centre of that row. Now, to save a little bit of time, when you go to do the other side, instead of counting it all up first and then counting it to find the spot for your stitch marker, I just stitch marker in the exact same position as the first one. Then I counted along, and it just so happened that all my stitches were exactly the same, so that was great. But if they weren't, and they were say 2 stitches out, you would just move your stitch marker one stitch across. So that's just a little time-saving hack. So for the sides, we want the centre marked out. For me, that's at stitch number 46 because I have 91 stitches across. Now, on the long side, I did the same thing. I counted up one side, then I popped my stitch marker in the centre. So that was at stitch number 59. I have 119 stitches wide. So then on the other long side, I went straight to 59, popped my stitch marker in there, and counted along the rest of the row. And I can't believe it, it's exact, it's correct. Now we're doing something extra here on the long sides. So you've found your centre mark. What I'm going to get you to do is put a stitch marker 20 stitches away on both sides. Okay, so counting from the centre out, count 20 stitches and pop your stitch marker in on the right, and 20 stitches on the left and pop your stitch marker in, and doing the same for the other side as well. We're going to do something just a little special in this position further along. After counting your sides, if you find that one is different to the other, go back to my video which is called How to Rectify a Stitch Count Discrepancy. So just for example, say that you have too many stitches on this long side. Say you've got too many stitches. Then you would go over to your short side, and in the corner space you would add another stitch to both ends, which brings the stitch count of the smaller side up to the same as the longer one. Wish me luck with these stitch markers, you guys. I really need to order some of these ones very soon because these ones do fall out all the time. I'm surprised they still manufacture them and waste the plastic on something that either snaps very quickly or doesn't work very well. Anyway, that's just a little jilly rant for the moment. Let's move on to round number 1. With your first yarn colour, slip knot on your hook, yarning over your hook into the corner, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and hold your stitches there. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and hold your stitches there. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. This time we're yarning over and pulling through all the stitches on your hook. Now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. This is so further along we have enough space to go round the corner. Now we're going to do another cluster back into that same corner space. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all the stitches. Now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. So we're going to skip 2 stitches below, 1 and 2, and work a double crochet into the third. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is your double crochet. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And on this round, which is number 1, we are just going to double crochet all the way along, and then we're going to stop 2 stitches out from the corner and do this same thing in reverse. When you come up to your stitch markers, just before that particular stitch, take it out, do your stitch in there, and then pop your stitch marker back in on top. Do it straight away so you don't forget and mess up your stitch counts. Now I'm 2 stitches out from the corner, so just check this though. 1 and 2 stitches here. Don't be fooled by that stitch which is on top of that half double crochet at the start of the corner. So ignoring that half double crochet and its corresponding little V on the top. Alright, so you want to be 2 stitches away from that. So then we're going to chain 2. Now we're going to make our double crochet cluster. So yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. 1 more, 3, yarn over, pull through all the stitches on your hook. Now make 4 chains, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now do another cluster. That's 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all the stitches, chain 2, and we're going to skip 1 and 2 and start our row with a double crochet in the 3rd stitch from the corner. Just a little side note, if you don't want to do this sweet little thing that I've got planned, you can just do your whole segment number 5 with double crochets and just have that plain with the little bit of extra in the corner. Alright, you don't have to do this one, and if you don't want to, you don't need your stitch markers at all. I've finished my double crochets, done chain 2, skipping 2 stitches below, and now I'm going to snip my yarn off and do an invisible finish. Alright, working into the top of that cluster, pull your stitches tight together, and then I really don't like doing it in a chain, but in this instance I just didn't have any choice because I didn't want to start in the middle of a cluster either. So take your needle down through the center of the last chain, firm that up, there we go, that looks a-okay, and then start working your yarn ends in. Round number 2. If you're going to make this really pretty little section, what we're doing this time is pulling up 2 stitches either side of the stitch marker. because we're going to create a V-stitch right where the stitch marker is. All right, so everything else is still the same. We're just going to make a V-stitch, which is the beginning of a pretty little motif that I'm going to do here. So with a new colour on my hook, with a slip knot, yarning over and making that first cluster, 2 and 3, yarn over, pull through all 4 stitches, tighten up that slip knot, chain 4, making another cluster in the corner, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 4 stitches, chaining 2. Now this time we're going to just skip the cluster below and we're going to do 2 stitches into this chain space here. So yarning over, popping your hook in that chain space, doing a double crochet times 1 and times 2. Now we're going to work into the top of all the other double crochets. Now I've got 2 stitches on the right side of the stitch marker. So I'm going to remove that stitch marker. I'm going to do a double crochet into that space and chain 2, another double crochet into the same space as the other one. Now I'm going to pop that stitch marker into that V stitch so we remember where it belongs. Skip 2 stitches and now work double crochets until you come upon the next stitch marker. Now, something we should have done on the last round is remove the stitch markers from the long side of your work. Remove the one that is in the center because we only need these 2 on the sides. All right, don't worry about the short side. Leave it in the center because that's where we're going to make our little motif. But on the long side, we're making the motifs off center. Okay, so now you can work your way along until you come up to the next stitch marker. Now I'm 2 stitches out from my stitch marker again. I'm going to take that one out, do a double crochet into the space where the stitch marker was, chain 2 and do another double crochet into that same space. Pop your stitch marker into your V stitch. Skip 1 and 2 stitches behind the V stitch and start double crocheting again. Now heading towards the corner. Now I'm at the corner. I'm at that chain 2 space from the row below. I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that space and then I'm going to chain 2 and then I'm going to do my cluster in the corner in that chain 4 space. I'm going to chain 4 and do another cluster into that corner. 2 and 3, pull through all stitches, 2 more chains. Always skipping this time is the cluster below and do 2 double crochets into that chain 2 space on the left hand side of the cluster below. Then start working into the top of the double crochets until you reach a stitch marker and you need to do a V stitch. Just be sure to have removed the center stitch marker from your long sides. All right, there's mine gone now, and all we need are these 2 stitch markers on each side of the center. I'll see you at the end of this round. But I am going to change colors again, so snipping off my yarn, pulling that loop through, pop my yarn on a needle and darn my yarn ends in. There we go. If you don't want to change colours like I am each round or finish up with the invisible finish, what you can do after you've done your chain 2 is slip stitch into the top of the cluster. So pop your hook in the very top little V there, yarn over, pull that loop through and pull it through the one on your hook. Now you can either start straight into this chain 4 corner, or you can also slip stitch over there and start off in a better position. So you would start then with either chain or make your stacked single crochet. All right, that's how you can keep going with the same colour for a few rounds rather than changing each time. A new colour on my hook with a slip knot, starting in a different corner just to mix it up a little bit because I can't be flipping the rounds for this blanket. I'm going to have to leave that to granny squares and granny type blankets where you can, and it looks okay on both sides. But for these sort of patterned blankets, I don't think it's very practical. So far we've done well with our framing rounds. Maybe that's been our saving grace. But we'll see, won't we? Okay, so one cluster, cinch that knot in, chain 4. Do another cluster of 3. Pull through, chain 2. Skipping the cluster below and doing 2 double crochets into that space, that chain 2 space. Now working along the top of your double crochets till we get to the first of our stitch markers. When you come up to the V-stitch, stop with 1 stitch to go. Okay, so you've got 1 spare double crochet there. Take your stitch marker out and we're going to do a 4 double crochet cluster. So we're going to do that 1, 2, 3 and 4 times, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook, yarn over and chain 2 more. So that's 3 chains all up. Now we're going to do another cluster with 4 double crochets, 3 and 4, yarn over, pull through all the stitches, chain 1. Now we're going to skip 1 stitch below and start working into the others, working your way along until you get to the next stitch marker. At the next V-stitch, we're pulling up with 1 stitch to go. Take your stitch marker out, yarning over, and we're going to do another cluster of 4 double crochets, 2, 3 and 4, yarn over, pull through all stitches, make 1 chain and make 2 more. Now another 4 double crochet cluster, 3 and 4, pull through all those stitches, chain 1. Skip 1 stitch below and start working your double crochets in the next. Popping your stitch marker back in. There we go. At the corner, doing 2 double crochets in that chain 2 space. Chaining 2 and now doing your 3 double crochet clusters in the corner. 1, 2 and 3, yarn over, pull through all stitches, chain 4 and another double crochet, 3 together cluster, 3, pull through all stitches, chain 2, skip the cluster below, work 2 double crochets into that chain 2 space and then back on with your normal double crochets. I'm finishing off round number 3 with 2 crochets into that chain 2 space. Now making 2 more chain 2s. I'm changing colour, so I'm going to snip off my yarn, pull that loop through and do an invisible finish. If you aren't going to change your colour, remember that you need to do a slip stitch into the top of that cluster and then slip stitch your way into the corner chain space. Okay, with a new colour and a slip knot on your hook, change the corner that you're starting in. Just flip your work around and choose a different one. We're going to do the exact same thing here, the double crochet 3 together cluster with a chain 4 corner space. So yarning over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and hold your stitches there. Yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all the stitches, chain 4, 2, 3 and 4. Now another one of these clusters. 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all the stitches. Now chain 2. We're going to do 2 double crochets into this chain 2 space from below. That's 1 and that's 2. Now we're going to double crochet all our way until we reach this little section. Now we've come up to this sweet little feature. We're going to work our last double crochet here into the second last one from below. We're going to leave the last one spare. So take your stitch marker off. Now we're going to do a front post double crochet around this cluster. So we're going to yarn over, pop your hook down and around the back of the cluster and pull it up to the front. Yarn over, pull that loop around the back. Now you might have to cinch your work in a little bit to make this work. Yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over and pull through 2 more. And you'll see that this stitch is on a bit of an angle and it's also dragging the cluster out as well. But that's for a good reason. We're now going to do 8 double crochets into this chain space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now we're going to do the same thing with this cluster. We're going to do a front post double crochet around it. So yarn over, take your hook down and around the back of that cluster, yarn over your hook, pull that loop through, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches. Now we're going to skip this first double crochet from below and we're going to work into the second one, doing our normal double crochets. Okay, yarn over, hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 and work your way along until we meet up with our next little feature. So you can see what's starting to happen here now. We're forming what's going to resemble a little flower. Now we're coming up to feature number 2 because I'm working the long side. Taking that stitch marker out, finishing up a stitch before the end of the double crochets below. So you've got 1 stitch left over there on its own. Now we're going to do that front post double crochet around the cluster. Yarn over, pop your hook down the back and up the front of that cluster. Yarn over and pull that loop through. Yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2 more. And that's your front post double crochet done. Now we're going to do 8 double crochets into this chain space. 1 and 2, 3, 7 and 8. Now we're going to do another front post double crochet around this cluster. Yarn over, hook down around the back and up, yarn over, pulling that loop through, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches. I'm just going to pop my stitch marker back in. So there's 8 double crochets here, so I'm going to pop my stitch marker right in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in between those 4 there and those 4 there. Now we're going to skip this double crochet from below and start working double crochets in the second one and all the way back to your corner. I'm at my next corner. I've double crocheted all the way, now doing 2 double crochets in that chain 2 space, chaining 2, and now working our double crochet cluster. 1, 2 and 3, yarn over, pull through all the loops, chaining 4, 3 and 4 and making another cluster. 1, 2 and 3, pulling through all those stitches, chaining 2, skipping the cluster below and doing 2 double crochets in that chain 2 space, and then heading along with your double crochets until you come up to our little feature. I'm going to leave you here and see you at the end of this round.